Hey everybody, it's Andy Kushner, host of The Wedding Biz, and thank you so much for taking the time to tune in yet again. And for those of you who are just discovering the show, we welcome you to our community. And we're continuing to receive wonderful feedback, not only on the show, but also about our add-on segment, The Next Level, which is a shorter episode following every interview in which myself and my co-host Melissa break down the morning's release. And together we discuss a few highlights, which you can use to apply for the benefit of your own business. So please keep those comments and questions coming, and be sure to check out the Next Level episode immediately following this one. And today's guest is someone who really needs no introduction, and that's Mindy Weiss. It is mind-boggling when I think about this, how Mindy stays on top of our industry, according to most media listings, for so many years. And as you're about to hear, she has no plans to slow down anytime soon. I love that part of the interview too. And this episode is not only so revealing about Mindy's personal life and with stories about her career development, like I like to do, but you're also going to hear tons of tips and inspiration from a true icon. And it is a no-holds-barred interview. Mindy does not shy away from anything. I ask her all kinds of questions, and she is completely direct. I thank her so much for that. You're going to hear how she got into and built such a successful business, and including how she built and manages her team, how she deals with the financial aspect, how she manages challenges that we all inevitably experience. You're going to hear all about her process. That's really cool. And how she creates dream weddings, including, details about her first of numerous celebrity weddings. And she then reveals a great deal about how she balances her business with her personal life. So obviously, you're going to get it all today. So get ready to take in all kinds of insight that you have never heard before during my conversation with Mindy Weiss. So Mindy, you're based in Beverly Hills, and you're a best-selling author of 3 books, The Wedding Book, The Wedding Planner and Organizer, and The Baby Keepsake Book and Planner, and are a product innovator and spokesperson. You plan celebrations all over the world, and you've designed a highly successful line of wedding stationery with Wedding Paper Divas, and you've launched a jewelry line designed for the modern bride. And your client list includes some of Hollywood's biggest names, actually a lot of them: Sofia Vergara, Fergie, Ellen DeGeneres, Jessica Simpson, Heidi Klum, Pink, Jennifer Garner, Katy Perry, Gwen Stefani, Channing Tatum, many, many, many more. And fans like my daughter of the TV series The Bachelor, she forced me to, get into that, will recognize the televised weddings you've planned and designed for them. And your team are considered innovators and trendsetters. And I mean, Mindy, I was, thinking on the way here, I can't remember a time when you have not been listed like at the top. When I look at these lists, the best planners, designers, you're always like number one. I've never seen anything else. And it's such an accomplishment. I mean,
thank you.
Yeah. How do you look at that overall now?
Well, when I see it, I dance. I don't take it.
You take it in.
Oh my God. I take it in. I'm always hoping I'm on the list because, I work hard to stay on those lists. I don't just, figure I'm going to be on every list.
Yeah.
And I'm just as surprised every year that I'm still making the list. I work hard to keep it going and being innovative. And we got a lot of little people who are claiming they're wedding planners now. So I got to stay on my game.
Yeah. In this business, it's like, when I think about this, my own experience in the music side, it's like I can't stop innovating. I don't feel a pressure because I love it.
Yeah.
But I feel like innovators never stop innovating.
Right.
In a sense.
It's the minute you get lazy that you lose out on introducing a new item to people out there, whether Instagram, social media. That is my opportunity to show people what I do. So if I miss that opportunity, I try to explain that to my wonderful staff that works with me, that we have one opportunity a weekend and we have to introduce the new thing.
Yeah, it just never ends.
Right.
Well, I'm curious when the passion for doing this planning and designing really got sparked in you. Like, were you interested in this even as a little girl, just the idea of planning, designing? What was that like for you?
Well, I was always redecorating my room. That was like I drove my parents crazy. I always had a new look. I was very much into fashion. But what really got the party bug going is my parents gave the most unique parties. And my sisters and I used to sit upstairs on top of the staircase and look down on all my parents' friends and the craziness that was going on and the beauty and the creativity and the laughter. And, you know, I didn't know what else was going on down there.
It sounds like my parents' home too, right?
Very... You know, that my eyes would be big and exciting, and my sisters would want to go to sleep, and I go, no, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Interesting.
So, look, my Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Now, as a parent today, I am mortified at what my mother did. But as a creator, innovator, unique passion for this business, I never had any boobs. I never developed, and it drove me insane. So my mother had my Sweet 16 at the Playboy Club.
What?
Okay? And at that time, it was, you know, in a place called Century City in this, you know, office building. These were, you know, the Playboy clubs, you know, they were all like executive clubs.
Yeah.
My waitresses were Playboy bunnies.
Come on.
I swear to God. I finally just found the album, and I'm going to bring it to one of these lectures. I have to show people.
What you mean, like with the bunny ears?
The bunny ears with sashes that said Mindy Sweet 16. The invitation was a key. Like, you know, you got a key, and it said, don't be a rabbit, let us hear from you. I mean, this was my mother.
Your mother's a nut.
The most creative, funny, you know, but now as a mother, and I get an invitation where, you know, that my child's invited to the Playboy Club, I would... But it was a beautiful affair.
But what was your impression? Like, were you?
Then I thought it was funny. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, you did? It was just like, here she goes again?
Cool, yeah. My dad was a member there. And I mean, who knows? Now, as an old lady here, I think back on it, and it's funny. And that is kind of what sums me up. I love a good sense of humor. Yeah. So the party business was in my mind all the time because my mother constantly was creating fabulous parties.
Wow. So what did you do with that, like in high school, and let's say going into, I assume you went to college?
Yes.
What did you do with all of that?
High school, I ran for every office. In junior high school, I was head of community service. In high school, of course, I wanted to be the queen and princess. You know, I got close. I was princess a few years, runner-up to the queen, but always planning. The prom, I was on every committee. And then, of course, in college, I was social chair in my sorority, Gamma Phi Beta, Red Hot Tomato. And, you know, it was always in me. I was always planning. And then I got married very young. Worked at a beautiful stationery store and designed. Is this
after college or during college?
After college.
But what did you major in then?
I majored in production. I wanted to be in radio, television, and film.
Okay.
And I went to San Diego State, and then I had to transfer home in order to graduate because I had a really good time at San Diego State. Still have wonderful friends from there. Yeah. And graduated in radio, television, and film. But ended up getting married young, and his working hours were quite unusual, so I could only get a day job of, you know, I worked at a stationery store where it was meant to be, which I believe I met my very, very best friend, Janice, who we started a stationery business called Jam. Janice and Mindy.
Sure, I know about them. Yeah.
And we sold out of my house. We sold invitations, and we had wonderful clients who would come. We were very busy. And
so this is the first thing you say you did out of college. That was your first job.
Yes.
So you sounded pretty laser focused from the beginning.
Oh, yes. I knew I had to work. Well, my first job out of college was but I always worked. My very first job was at a bakery that was down the street from my house. I was 12 or 13. And I loved it. I prided myself on putting the bread through the cutter and being able to do it with one hand and wrap it and tie it. And I loved to work until I gained about 15 pounds working at the bakery. And I quit and then worked at a lot of clothing stores and always have worked. I don't think I've ever not had a job.
Well, so how many years were you partnered with Janice with Jam?
I still am. So we're on about 36 years.
Yeah, I mean, I see walking into the office that, they're also on the door.
Yeah.
So when then did you start to break out of, or let's say in addition to invitations?
I'd say about 5 years into the invitation business, I had a client who said, can you just do the party too? And, I did a lot of event planners' invitations, and a lot of them were very stressed out and, very uneasy, and I just didn't want to be an event planner. I just thought, I had 2 children at the time.
And you saw yourself just staying stationary at that time?
I loved the creativity of it, and I was satisfied with that.
Yeah.
And then this one client wouldn't give up and just said, please, my family's not getting along. I would just love, we've known you forever. Can you just put together this party? And I said, okay. And that one party that I somehow faked everything and literally God went through at the time the phone book. There was a big yellow phone book.
I remember those days.
Yes.
Right.
And tried to find balloon artists. And, I had no contacts whatsoever. None.
Had you been to many weddings before that, just as a guest?
Yeah, my girlfriends. Yeah.
And I guess your own.
Yes.
So what was do you remember your concept for that first party?
Yes, the gentleman was 75, and it was a celebration of life, and it was a lot of color and just this big celebration of life. So what did I think? That it had to be high energy and colorful, and it was successful. And from that one job, I got 10 jobs.
Oh my God.
But it was for a very high-end client. So his friends
right from the beginning
were also very high-end.
Yeah.
So then the bug, it instantly hits you. If it's in you, it's waiting to be tapped into. And mine was not tapped. It was heavily pounded upon.
Jeez, do you remember that moment?
Oh my God.
When was it?
Well, the moment that you look back on a party that you had no idea what, and I looked back and people were going in when they walked in the room and they stopped, no iPhones, nothing to stop to take pictures, but literally stopped to take it in. That was a high. Your endorphins kick in. You're exhausted, but you're just inspired to, let's do it again. I have more ideas. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. I should have done this. And then the calls started coming in, and it took from there. And it wasn't until all of a sudden I had a celebrity client, which I literally did not know the impact that was going to take on my business. I was so naive.
Publicity-wise.
At the point, I just thought it was Brooke Shields and Andre Agassi. And in that point, I thought, this is so cool. But never in a million years did I know how to deal with paparazzi or what was going to come from it. It was very exciting.
So how did you have to deal with that? Like, what were some of the challenges and also some of the opportunities from that?
Well, I had to learn how to deal with security. Security is a different beast, where a lot of my planner friends, they don't have to deal with that, so that's not part of their, let's say, schedule.
Yeah.
It's a big part of my schedule. So luckily, they had hired their own company, and that company was very, they knew what they were doing, and they were willing to teach me what to look for, what was going to happen. It leaked out, of course, which I had to learn about that.
Yeah, well, maybe on purpose, who knows?
It might have been. And I had to learn about that as well.
That's right. Right. There's all these different angles.
A lot of different angles.
Right? You have to be ready.
Oh, but I did. And this one job, we had this meeting because there was so much paparazzi waiting at the end of the road of this venue we were at. And I, just being funny, my funny brain said, why don't we put her in that limo that this venue has, their own vintage limo, and put a piece of tulle hanging out the door, like we did that, and turn right when we really need to go left, and let's see what happens.
Oh, really?
And it worked.
Oh, really?
And security didn't even think of it. And they were giving me high fives.
Wow.
But then when we got to the church, literally people in cherry pickers, they rented cherry pickers.
God. Well, and now you've got
and
drones
this was kind of right. But this was kind of like when celebrity weddings started to be all that. But when I showed up, I was literally shocked. I just didn't know.
That's interesting.
And Andre wanted no publicity, and Brooke, I think, wanted some.
Oh.
Lovely people. I had a great experience.
So what were some of if you can describe some of the decor and how that process went, that would be interesting.
Of my first one?
Yeah, sure.
Well, when she came in, and literally we sat on the floor of the office, and she had pictures. You could tell that she pulled magazines.
The equivalent of a Pinterest board?
Oh, but it was actually in a file, a little file box, which I miss those very much. Yeah. Although I love Pinterest, I can't deny it. So I saw her inspiration, and, I've been doing inspiration boards since I think I was a little girl when we used to collage everything. Collaging was a big thing for, Sweet 16s and my girlfriends and I would sit and collage. So I saw what she loved. I knew the right floors for it. I gathered a partnership with all these wonderful people, lighting, music. It kind of was the type of job, which I know my friends out there have experienced, where everything just fell
it just gelled
into place. It was a big job for everybody. It wasn't just for me, and I think we all didn't know what was going to happen after this. And her style was very much like my style. We met at my house for one meeting because the paparazzi were so all over her.
My God.
So it was a lovely... I shared her love for vintage.
Yeah.
We went to gift shows together. It was very interesting friendship that we formed. Very unexpected. But Brooke is a very hometown girl. She's very...
She seems humble in spite of the whole star part of
Exactly.
it.
She's never changed. I think she's one person that just is, she loves making her own bed sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, she's hands-on. And it's nice when you have a client like that, expresses what she wants. And, I was able to surprise her with a few details of printed menus. And, that was a long time ago. It's got to be at least... 25 years ago?
Yes.
It was a long time ago.
And what is it that did happen afterward?
So afterwards, what I found is if you do a celebrity wedding and your name is mentioned somewhere, that you'll find that the managers of the other celebrities respect the fact that you have dealt with security. They'll call that celebrity to get reference. Yeah. And fortunately, we had a great experience. And then I got more. And they kind of kept coming. And, look at when that phone rings and it's a VIP or whatever, treat them just like I would treat anybody else who calls, because I do 2 celebrity events a year, 3 maybe, and some showers in here and sprinkle, but big events 2 or 3. So it's really the non-celebrities that keep me in business.
That's a good point. Yeah. So can you tell me something about what the process is like? Like, if you wouldn't mind taking me from A to Z, from the point of people calling you and, through the end, how that goes for you.
So when they call, first of all, I'm fortunate enough to have an amazing receptionist in the office. And we kind of ask initial questions because, unfortunately, when I used to answer the phone, if there are people where they found my fee was too high, I would sit on the phone and literally help them plan their wedding because I felt so bad that I was expensive or what they thought was expensive. Yeah. So it wasn't good time control for me. So now what we do is we have Noelle answers the phone and gets a little history of what are they looking for, date maybe, do they have a budget in mind? She tells them of our fee structure. And if that's okay and they're happy with that, then I call them back. We make an appointment, and I try to be as hands-on. Sometimes, Andy, when they meet me and they go, oh my God, I dummy it down because literally I hope that I'm the most humble person in the world. I'm blessed with an amazing business, but the truth is I had to pay for my son's wedding. I got deals, but I know what goes into it. And I know it's a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy. It's an experience where you truly learn about your daughter or your son. Yeah. Things come out that as a parent you don't.
And vice versa.
Exactly. Mostly that. Yes.
I know.
You learn about your parents. Yeah. I have one situation where the bride learned about her parents' financial situation.
Oh, interesting.
Which was very interesting to experience.
What, that it was a high budget and she didn't realize or something? Or the opposite?
No, that the bride felt that it was higher and the parents said they can't do that.
Oh.
So it was the opposite. Oh. Interesting, but I thought, what a great lesson in life. here you go. You know, you're an adult now, your parents are adult, and they need to retire at some point. So it's interesting, you know. So there's a lot of psychological situations involved here where I really feel that I could be a therapist.
Well, that's funny. I was just going to say that. I mean, even in my situation on the music side, I've been in places where there was one last year, as a matter of fact, and they ended up canceling the wedding, the bride and groom, because it was one of those where it was over the top between the groom's parents and the bride's parents, the groom's parents and the kids and this. And, and I remember the mother telling me something about this, and I felt like, whoa, I'm getting into territory. I got to be very careful here. And I ended up being just really honest, and I talked to her about, you know, how well... Why don't, in a nice way, I was basically saying, why don't you ask them what they think, what they would like? I mean, it was just incredible.
I'll tell you one, at the beginning of my career, I did, when I go meet the clients, right? And we'll go back to my process.
Yeah, sure.
We went to meet a client. We had to travel a little, and we went there. And some of our first questions, you know, I love to know how they met, and I love to know, you know, I don't want to start in, okay, what's your budget? You know, like, no. Because if I'm going to be with them a year, we need to have some sort of friendship going here.
Right?
We need
I think it's all about connection.
I agree, and they need to tell me how they're feeling. You know, that anger that builds up if they can't say things that they want to say is not worth the argument. So I'm saying, okay, and what's your groom's name? And she goes, asshole.
Come on.
And from that...
With a smirk or no?
Yeah, I think they just had a really bad morning.
Oh, my God.
But I said to her, let me be honest with you.
Yeah.
If you're feeling this way now...
Yeah.
I said, I have a great therapist. No, seriously.
No, I get it.
And I kind of stopped the meeting because I just felt this anger.
Yeah.
We're going to sit there. I'm going to waste their time. They're going to waste my time. I said, let's have lunch. Let's just go out to lunch. And they ended up not getting married. Cut to 10 years later. She happens to be at a wedding of mine.
Yeah.
She comes up to me. She goes, you're not going to remember me. And I did not. I didn't remember her. She goes, do you remember you flew out to so-and-so and we sat and you gave me your therapy? I go, oh my God, I've told people that story. You know, I never knew what happened. She goes, we broke up. And I married the man of my dreams. Because of you, I still see that therapist.
Oh, wow.
Is that insane?
Yeah, but, you know, Minnie, I believe with couples, I really feel this, that the way they are together around the planning of their wedding really is kind of a hint at what is to come,
exactly.
Right?
You know, and
because
look
all the emotional elements of it.
I have brides and grooms that literally have full-blown fights in my office, but they're still going to get married. It's you just got this innate feeling that, you know, it's good to fight. I don't mind the fighting and the getting, because I think part of the engagement period, you learn about your spouse.
Well, yeah.
Compromise. That's a hard thing.
Oh, God, that's the hardest thing.
Compromise. But that's marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I think it's a great insight to the future of what your marriage, you know, of compromise and patience and, you know, being considerate and listening, you know, and holding in that anger until you listen to the situation. And
you know, it's interesting, the emotional element of this business we're in, of the wedding business. I mean, I think it's also part of what makes this so much fun and keeps it exciting. But at the same time, you know, that is kind of a skill we all have to learn how to deal with, isn't it?
Because as an event planner, you need to compromise. You need to be patient.
Set the tone for them, too.
You need to listen. And then you hope that your clients do the same. Because the hardest thing for me, and I think some of my friends in the business, is adjusting your taste and your feelings of, you know, being stuck on a certain timeline or stuck on certain music, stuck on a design. But it's not our event. I really feel it's their event. And they're hiring you to create their dreams, not to create my dreams.
Yeah, sure.
Now, I'll suggest, and I'll tell them if something won't work, because I've done it and I know it won't work, but I do what they want. I just do. In the end, unless it's dangerous, I do what they want. And I just, you know, hope that it's what, you know, when they walk in the room, you get that reaction. Once you get that reaction, it's like smooth sailing, you know?
Yeah, and I want to come back to that in a minute. But first of all, coming back to the process.
Yeah.
So you start to have these meetings with them.
So then they set up a meeting. They come in for the first meeting. We download, you know, I love to know how they met. We talk a little.
Yeah.
we talk about style, we talk about photography, location, what dates they're in. Really the first meeting is so important because you're really downloading a lot of information. And I find that the parents are anxious and the couple's a little excited and anxious because we do have to get down to budget. We need to explain to them what things are costing.
So you do that really upfront early when they're bringing up ideas?
Well, before I start suggesting photographers and videographers and music, and I don't want to introduce something that's so off that will create anger. Unfortunately, sometimes a bride and groom will come to me. They were engaged 10 days before, and they've already booked their venue and started booking things without considering that they've just now spent 75% of their budget on food and alcohol. That leaves me 25% for everything else, which is pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
Because these are the same people who want very full event, as I call it.
And while you're having this initial meeting, do you have anyone with you from your company, or is it just
Always. Always. I am not good at taking notes. I like to talk.
Yeah.
And as you'll see through this little conversation, that I'm all over the place. So I always have someone with me, and it changes based on the personality of the client. I pull in, our office is made up of 10 people. 4 of us are event planners. We each have assistants. There is a runner and a receptionist. And then during the weekends, we bring in a lot more help based on what kind of party it is. But it's a full office with lots of personalities, and I pick a different person I have my person, but, I like to share, and I bring in different people to help based on the client's personality.
Yeah. And then what about in terms of the planning? Because obviously this is a relationship that's often lasting a year, right? Something like that.
Yes.
Is there any particular kind of formula, not in terms of what you end up designing, but in terms of the structure of how you continue to work with the client and your team, to execute this event?
Right. Well, communication.
Yeah.
And part of my process is them knowing that we are constantly available. I have tried to set up boundaries. I'm not good at it. So I'd rather the client call me, even on a Sunday. And it's not a very bad business model. But for me, the anger that they feel on Monday that they can't talk to me all weekend, it's not worth it. Mondays is when we are all the most tired because we've come off of a job. I've tried to take Mondays off, and that doesn't work. But it's my choice to have taken on these big jobs that require a lot of attention from my clients, and that is how I function. And I want them to think that they're my only client. I do.
Yeah, I get
it doesn't always work, and they need to understand it, but I never, ever, I learned something from a client. A wonderful client who has stayed a friend, and he's a big businessman. And he called, and about 2 hours later, I called back I said, I'm so sorry it took 2 hours. I said, I was on another call for and he goes, no, I'm your only client.
That's great.
But I was so young. This was at the beginning.
Yeah.
I literally paused and had to think about it. On the phone, paused.
Yeah.
Where he said, hello? I go, I had to think about that. Thank you for that lesson.
Yeah, sure.
You are my only client. And I have never mentioned another client to my other client unless they're asking about, some fun. If they've heard I did something and they just want to talk about it. Otherwise, and I teach the girls here, don't ever tell them I'm with another client.
That's great.
Just say, Mindy can't come to the phone right now. She'll call you back as soon as she can. But, they don't want to know that. They don't want to know that, there might be someone better than them. Or,
that's a great idea.
Or their event
is this some celebrity that she's going to give them more attention.
And that comes back a lot. And during the interviewing process, Andy, people say, so if a celebrity calls you on my date of my wedding, will you take them over me?
Yeah.
And I literally look at them and go, do you think I would ever commit to you and say to you, oh, something better came. I said, you need to know that that is not the person you are hiring right now.
And I wonder about that with your reputation. I wonder how often people will have, let's call it unrealistic expectations of you because of who you are, what they read and all of that, you know, and I imagine you must run into that.
What's funny is sometimes I run about 5 minutes late. I do. And I'm running in for, say, like, you know, I start here at 9. But of course, wake up at, 5:36, finishing everything that I didn't finish the day before, and I get a workout in there too. And I'll run in sweats. Sometimes I'm not even dressed. Yeah. And I'll run and go, oh my God, I'm sorry. And the clients in the front office will say, oh, it's okay, we're waiting for Mindy. And I go, I'm Mindy.
Come on.
I really think people think I'm going to come in in a beautiful suit, high heels, headset.
Yes.
Clipboard.
That's funny.
And they're very surprised at who they're meeting. And I've had clients come in with chips on their shoulder, like ready to, well, why do you charge this? And why? I had one client who just came in with the mother of a bride, with such attitude. And she was grilling me. And I gave her my price. And I told her and she literally stopped. She goes, you are nothing like I thought. I go, well, what made you think that? She goes, I don't know. I think people just think you're going to be this bossy kind of, you know. And she says, I really like you. And I says, and that's what I hope for.
Yeah.
I said, I'm a mom who has to work.
Right.
And if I'm going to work, I'm going to do it the best I can do. But let me tell you, in every interview, and I know you've heard me say this, I think, in some of the engages we've gone to. Part of the interview process, I say, one thing about me is if my children call during a meeting with you, I have 3 boys, my daughter-in-law, and my granddaughter, Goldie.
You have a granddaughter, Mindy?
Yes!
What?
My whole life has changed.
Oh, my God.
Because I got the girl.
Anyway.
But anyways, until she can call me, too, I take the call. I said, it's a quick call.
Yeah.
But if they're calling me, I need to talk to them.
But this comes back again to connecting with people on a human level. And my experience of you, I mean, I've known you for years, is definitely that you're humble. I mean, I've always had that impression of you. And so I think for people to get that, you know, the way they get that from you, it then loosens them up and it allows them to feel taken care of and they trust you and on and on and on.
I'm a caregiver. I think I do a lot of athlete weddings. I'm not sure why, but I think because they can't meet with me very much, the actual grooms, and I've done a few female athletes, but because they cannot meet with me and they have very limited schedule and they are very protective over the budget, and I respect it. I take care of them, and I really enjoy that it is a limited amount of time, and when they can meet, we make sure it all gets done. But I enjoy that.
Hey, I just want to take a moment and mention that Mindy talked about the challenge during this conversation and also recently at Engage of marketing to millennials. And before we continue, I want to talk to you about something important that can really affect your next event and help you with not only any demographic of client, but especially millennials who are more and more influential in the buying process. And by the way, Melissa and I talk about that in the Next Level episode as well to give tips. And the most impactful emotional element is the music. And we have all experienced when the music is not totally inclusive, the whole time, which is so critical. And it's more than just having a great sounding band. It's an act that knows how to connect, bonds everybody together of all ages, every minute of the night, and creates this shared experience, to celebrate the couple. And you've got to check out our sponsor today, Rhythm 6, the band Rhythm 6, which is also backed by a team like Mindy talks about in terms of connecting with the client. That's what they do best, and they create this customized experience. You will find Rhythm 6 at theweddingbiz.com/Rhythm 6. That's theweddingbiz.com/Rhythm 6. And now back to my conversation with Mindy Weiss. Can you tell me maybe one or two stories of some of your favorite weddings? It's up to you if you mention names or not, but just some of your favorites and giving me some detail about them and how they went. I mean, you've done an incredible amount of fabulous
parties. A lot
of
people ask me, what was your favorite wedding? And I don't have a favorite wedding. I have elements that I loved at several weddings, right? But some of the ones I remember most are the ones that I've stayed friends with, who actually after the event, when they all say, every bride says, oh my God, I'm going to call you right when I get back from my honeymoon. This is going to be, we've spoken every day for a year, and you know, but then you don't hear from them because life goes on. Yeah. They are busy in their own life, but it's those handful of people that call you from their honeymoon or, you know, really you become friends with them. Like, you know, I, you know, held up their dress while they're going to the bathroom. It's an intimate situation. Okay. You know, it's, you know, things about their lives that, you know.
Oh, I'm sure they reveal things in the process. Yeah.
Because
I mean, you become a confidant.
Yes. From financially, personally, you know, there's so much. But I would say Jimmy Kimmel's wedding was a great experience. Him and his wife are completely humble.
Molly, right?
Molly. I adore them. Yeah. And because they have this kind of free spirit attitude, their wedding was beautiful, outstanding. They're very trusting. And it was just like one of those weddings that just flowed. It just worked. And I've stayed friends with them.
Can you give me some details about that? And when you say free-spirited, you know, what does that mean to you in terms of how it then allowed it to flow?
Free-spirited means that they know that things can go wrong. You know, they know that, okay,
and there could be. It. In other words, like, hey.
Well, you know, what if, but whatever. You know, it wasn't like, oh my God, if it rains, what are we? Yeah. There was no, like, you know, there were some very VIP people that were invited that are used to people. The thing with celebrities is that they're used to getting everything and usually the best because the people who take care of them make sure that happens. Yeah. But when you're invited to a wedding, you become just like everybody else because there's not 100 best rooms at a hotel. Right. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. Or the best seat.
And what happens is it just humanizes everybody. And you find that the celebrities really don't care. You know, really, the funniest story, and I'll tell you this, Howard Stern, who I adore, but who I was a little afraid of because, you know, I've listened to him since I was a little girl.
Oh, you have? Come on.
Oh, my God, I love Howard Stern.
Oh, I love that.
And I just thought, oh, my God, you know, so everybody's room was ready except his.
Oh, God.
Of all people, his room just wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, he's not one to just hang out in the lobby.
And so I get on the walkie. Howard Stern's room is not ready yet. That's all I heard. Wouldn't you know, I drive right by him. And instead of, oh, Mr. Stern, I'm so sorry. Instead, I went, Howard! And I go, of course your room isn't ready. The one who would care the most.
Oh, that's good.
I approached it.
You diffused it immediately.
I approached it in a way like, oh, wouldn't you know?
Right.
And he looked at me, he goes, Mindy, I'm watching you. But you knew he was fine. And he's married to the most wonderful woman, you know? But these are funny stories that are just, you know, like, I'm a normal person. I don't think I'm under people, and I don't think I'm over people. I just think I'm people. Yeah. And so are they. And that's how I approach it. I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not, you know, they pee just like we do, and they just get a little more extra attention, but also they work very hard. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, I respect that. I respect their time. You know, when a meeting is set up, they have a very limited amount of time, and I respect that.
Well, and, you know, again, I want to bring it back to connection, and that's what you're talking about with them, the way you talk about Jimmy and Molly and even meeting Howard. There's a quote that I read somewhere that you said, I think my events have a lot of heart. You can't buy a room filled with emotion, but you can fill a room that exudes love. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. I love that I said that. I'll have to remember that.
Can you say something more about that? Like what you know?
Well, I always say, because clients come in, they go, how much do I have to spend to have a fabulous party? You know? And I go, well, it's truly not about the money. The fabulous comes from the warmth. And the warmth comes from the mush. And if the couple doesn't have the mush, and if they separate from each other during the wedding, and if they, you know, don't stick together and dance, if they don't dance, people don't dance. You know, and you can't buy that, and I can't make that happen. So that is what makes a memorable party, is the mush.
But you are providing the foundation for it, the atmosphere for it, the emotional backdrop.
And when I can eliminate the stress, and during the whole day, from the minute that bride and groom wakes up in the morning, I am a stress reducer. My team, we know we have surprises in the bridesmaids' room where they're getting dressed. We take care of the guys. Yes, we do offer them a drink instead of telling them they cannot drink, but we limit it. And I say to them, you guys, just try. I'd like to see you make it down the aisle and not make a fool of me. But after that, I don't care what you do. But enjoy yourself during the day because it's part of the experience. You know? And I make sure they have everything. If they ask me for something, we do it. No attitude. From a Tampax to Moroccan oil for your hair. We do it. We are hired as an employee for whatever amount of time it takes to plan this event. Get over yourself. This is the job that we are hired to do. I am not too good to do anything. But at my age now, what has changed is respect.
What do you mean?
I don't want to be spoken to without respect. And another event planner, Lisa Vorsch, in her contract, she has a respect clause. And I told her I would like to put that in my contract. Because what comes with high-end events, when they're spending a lot of money, is sometimes a little expectation that they can talk to you a certain way. And now I finally have gotten to a place. Now, this empowered me only 2 years ago, you know. But if a 24-year-old couple is talking to me without respect, I don't accept it any longer.
How do you put that in writing in terms of a clause? I mean, literally.
I actually copied hers, which just is, I will speak to you with, complete respect, and I expect you to treat me with complete respect. And who's to say what is respectful or not, but I've never had to.
But obviously you've run into this enough that this has become a problem.
And now, before it was okay, but I had a client who just yelled. It's just the way that he spoke. It was his way of communicating. And I finally said, I'm sorry, I'm just too old for this. I would rather flip burgers at McDonald's.
That's funny. Yeah, but that's a way to diffuse it, too.
Exactly.
The way you
said I said, I can't even understand what you're saying. And it really affects me for the rest of the day when I hang up the phone with you. It does. It weighs on me. I'm sensitive. So that is something very new in my business, that I would rather write them the check right back and call it a day and leave without any other anger or, frustration. And I want them to have a great experience.
What about also, we're talking about, in some cases, very high profile events, weddings, and again, the reputation and therefore the expectations. I'm wondering about the pressure that you might be feeling, on a day-to-day basis, on an event-to-event basis. Do you feel much pressure anymore, and how do you handle it?
Well, I think about it this way. I am responsible for their memories. Think about that.
Oh, I like that.
Think about how much, I don't love the word pressure, but how much pressure, one is under. Exactly. To be responsible for this day in their life. One of the most important days, whether it's a wedding, even a baby shower. These are life memories that they're going to look back on, I hope, with the fondest memories. So, yes. I do feel pressure. I love when the ceremony's over. It's my favorite part of the day. Because it's like climbing up a mountain all day long until you get to the top and they say, I do. And then you're on the way. You're going down the other side. You're going down the other side of the mountain for the party and you're like almost done.
Well, do you have any techniques for dealing with it yourself that you've developed over all these years?
Well, I know if the bride and groom have bad karma, which I call it, I know it's going to be a tougher day for us, and we're prepared for it. because karma breeds karma.
But like how? In what ways?
Like things are going to go wrong.
So you're just making...
we're prepared for it.
So you're thinking out all the possibilities.
Exactly. It never fails that if the couple is mean or doesn't treat you well, then things will happen. Because it's their karma, it's not mine. I really believe it. Things start happening the day up.
Sure.
So we just are very much extra on patrol to put out any fire.
Well, how about this too? Okay, so when you do run into a challenge, I mean, you know, I know every single event has something, right? There's going to be something. It's just levels of what it's going to be. How do you handle challenges like in the moment, unforeseen, that you couldn't have thought of? Do you have some way that you tend to approach it?
I love to come up with solutions. Because I've been doing it so long, my demeanor, I stay calm no matter what. It doesn't matter, even though it may be inner.
I was going to say, what are you feeling inside?
My stomach, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
First, and the reason I'm like this, and the reason I stay calm, and the reason I know everything's important to me. I don't want to say, this is someone's day. Everything to them is important. But I had a child who had cancer, who has survived. But that kind of put everything in perspective for me. But I'm not lessening the importance of that day. But I do know that if a bride's heel breaks and it's traumatic to the bride, I actually understand that.
Yeah, right.
She's picked out those shoes.
And it's what she's feeling.
It's measured to her dress.
Yeah.
I understand it. They're at high tension anyways. I fixed the heel. You know, I fixed the heel. But I also know it's not life and death.
Right.
But to that bride, it's important.
Yeah.
And I don't lessen that importance.
I like that.
When other people say, oh my God, can you believe she freaked out over a heel?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can believe it.
So you acknowledge it, especially in front of them, so they feel like they've been heard, they've been seen, right?
And I never say, oh, come on, it's a heel.
Yeah, which is
never.
Yeah.
Because I know what went in to getting those shoes and how it matters on that day.
And I think for them, just knowing their planner, you know, their person understands.
Absolutely.
That alone is going to soften
And everybody
them up.
who works with me on my team understands that too. If they can't run an event like how I would in my head if I'm not there, because there's events that, you know, there's two ways they can hire me for a little more money or hire the girls in the office who are outstanding for a little less money, but they have to handle the situation exactly how I would in their own style, but my philosophy, and they know that.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been very lucky that they do, and we get things done, you know.
You know, I'd also like to talk to you about the business aspect because, you know, it's one thing from a creative perspective, an artistic perspective, to be the artist you are. It's a whole nother thing, right, to be able to run a business that sets the structure and the foundation. And for all of this, especially at your level, at what you're working at, how did you, I mean, again, I know that you had that partnership with Jam, but still, there's a business aspect to what you've done. How do you approach that? How do you feel about it? How did you learn about it?
Well, I did learn early on that I am not good with finances because I give away a lot. So I did have to hire someone to make a structure of my company, a contract, invoicing. I cannot do that because I was losing money. I would not have been...
It's typical, though, for artistic people.
Absolutely. I just, you know, if the client cancels something on their budget because they're trying to reduce the budget, which I don't blame them. I mean, if it's not something unreasonable, it's always there because it's more for me than for them at that point. You know, I'm like the artist. I'm painting a picture, and without this one thing, I can't put my name on it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to sign the piece of art.
Sure.
So I usually put it there, and that's where we lose money. And so I've hired someone who's been in my life from the beginning, a consulting accounting firm.
I got it.
That keeps my crap together.
Right.
And calls me out on things when I don't charge enough. I actually had another event planner come up to me and tell me I'm not charging enough.
Oh, right. They want you to charge more so they can charge more.
Well, they want me at least to be as much as them because she says they'll choose you every time because you're less money than me.
Right.
But when it comes to finances, like I said earlier, I can't talk to people on the phone at the beginning because I have to have somebody else quote the prices.
Well, but Mindy, when you say, I mean, I will say too, I think you're their planner, their designer. I feel like it should be completely separate. Like, you shouldn't talk about finances. Right. When people ask me, I mean, now I, you know, have Rebecca, who's the president of my music company, but when people used to ask me directly about money, I would say to them, you know, I like to keep this relationship just, you know, on the creative side, and I've got someone else who will talk to you about the money, and they understand it and all, and they would appreciate that. I think there was some kind of a understanding and respect, and then it took me out of it, right? Same for you. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, because at the first of every meeting, they go, just throw out a number, Mindy. Throw out a number. What do you think this is going to cost? And I just met them 15 minutes before. I said, do you drink Dom Perignon, or do you not care? Do you know, are you going to take tequila shots? Or, you know, I know nothing about you. I said, but if I'm going to figure high, here's what it is. But I am terrible on quoting prices. Yeah. But tell me to design flowers and give you a vision in 10 minutes of what you picture. I could do that. I can paint the picture for them. I just can't price it out.
So what about the other aspects of running a business in terms of how you choose, how you create your team, and how you manage them? I mean, I had a lot of issues in the beginning with that. I was not the greatest manager. I've since learned.
Yes. It's hard to manage, you know, 8 women and 2 men, you know, with many personalities, vying for position, vying for parties, not getting paid enough. You know, why is, you know, so it's like, I look at it as the mother hen, you know, and I finally got to a point last year where, you know, like one of the girls would say, oh, I have a doctor's appointment at noon. Well, or not at noon. I have a doctor's appointment at 2 o'clock. Well, finally, actually, this happened recently. I said, I want you guys to picture this as a corporation where you're a little uncomfortable to say, ooh, I have a doctor's appointment, which, you know, because it was not even asking me. They were just going and telling me. Yeah. And I just felt taken advantage of. And I just actually sat them down and says, I feel you guys are taking advantage of my kindness. I said, if you have a doctor's appointment, do it during your lunch break, just like you would for a corporation. But that's very difficult for me, Andy. It's hard for me I have the disease to please. But now there's many people who want to work for us, and I feel blessed about that. Yeah. And if you're not happy here, you need to leave immediately, because your unhappiness spreads like wildfire, you know, and you know, girls gossip and, you know, so it's hard to manage. We have great intentions of having weekly meetings, but everybody is on jobs and, you know, sometimes we can't get everyone together. So it's a constant struggle. Yeah. It's constant. It's personal. Everyone takes it so personal. Yeah, I know. But I keep saying it's business. Right. You know, personal is if I ask you, hey, let's go shopping to lunch. That's personal. But when you're in this office, it's business. And we're going to run it like a business, because I'm not going to buy you Starbucks every day of the week. You know? I also wonder how much of a factor the change in generations now. I mean, we both talked before Mike was on about how we both were working. I mowing lawns at 12 and you 12 or 13. And the whole millennial kind of aspect of this. How do you feel about that? I literally had to read a lot about it, because 2 of my children are millennials. And what I was finding is that when that clock hits 6 o'clock, they're out of there immediately. There's no, hi, is there anything else you need me to do? Or, you know, what can I do? You know, or I'm going to be leaving. This is kind of an entitlement issue, isn't it? Yes, there is a major and complete entitlement where situation where someone did a successful party for me and she came in and asked for more money. Well, I did a party. I went, nope, you're getting paid exactly what you should be getting paid. And, you know, again, if you're not happy, 100%, I understand. You're talking about taking responsibility. You know, for myself, there was a time long ago I was working for IBM, and I learned so much from them. So now looking back, I'm grateful. But at the time, I was banging my head on the wall. I was so frustrated, the whole bureaucratic, the whole thing. And I remember I went into some therapy at the time, and finally my therapist said, listen, you can leave.
You know, I mean, I hear you. I understand the frustration. I understand all of that. However, you're choosing to stay.
Exactly.
And that changed my life and my perspective forever. Right? Then I took responsibility and I wasn't so damn angry and everything like that.
That's what I say to them. If you're not happy here, I'm not giving you $2 more an hour. I'm not giving you $10 more an hour. This is what you're making. It is fair. I understand. My son cannot afford his rent. I get it. And maybe you can't afford your rent. But this is all I am paying.
Yeah.
So that is not my responsibility. My responsibility is to be a good boss to you.
Yes.
And to keep this business open so you have a job.
Yeah.
And that's all my responsibility is. I will not abuse you. I will not hit you. I will not sexually harass you. But that's it.
Yeah.
This is what I'm offering.
But again, and I still say, I guess in all the years I've been doing this, I've had to say maybe to a couple of people, look, I believe I'm treating you really fairly. You can leave if you would like. I mean, it is your choice.
Right.
And that tends to do it. You know, also, you were talking earlier about how much you work and, you know, letting clients call you on Sundays. I wondered about balancing the business life with the personal. And, you know, let's add to that. So you've got kids. You're a mother. You're a wife. Friendships, you know, business owner, all of this. And I can't even imagine dealing with a child who has cancer at the time. How are you balancing all of that?
It wasn't until someone came up to me and said, I don't understand how you do everything. And that came from Instagram, where you're sharing your life and people are going, what the hell? She's traveling again and stuff. And then it started affecting me. Like, how do I do it all? And then it made me start to think about it. Well, the truth is, which hit me this last year, it's how I live. It's the only thing I know. So let me give you an average day. Okay? And I'm proud to say I'm going to be 60 this year.
Amazing.
And I feel okay. I think I can't stay at parties past 2 a.m. now. That would be the biggest change.
Yeah.
I have to leave myself enough time to drive home without falling asleep.
Yeah.
But I wake up at 6. It's very routinely. I work out at 8.
Wait, what are you doing from 6 to 8?
Answering emails.
Oh, you do? You start like that?
Getting dressed, you know, that kind of stuff. But a lot, I go online, check my stocks, you know, check Daily Mail, see the gossip. You know,
so it kind of frees yourself.
And I'm also an online shopper. I have a shopping problem.
No, you told me that once, I remember.
And I'm in here by 9.
Okay.
And it's all set up for me, whether it's meetings, whether it's new clients, but I work 9 to 7. Okay.
Wow. Mindy, now, how many days a week?
Every day.
Sir, what? Really?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day but Sunday. I mean, on Saturdays, if I have a party, I'm working 18 hours a day.
Wow.
And the thing that just throws me off is the travel, because that...
I know you've said that. You really don't.
Yes, the travel kind of throws me off, because you're away from your clients that are here and you're trying to balance that, but you want to be there 100% for your client that you're traveling for. And travel is a new introduction in the last 5 years of the destination weddings. This is more, we're doing more destination than I am doing local.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So that is a new ingredient that has been added to this recipe. But when I leave, if I can leave here at 5, I get on the road and I drive an hour and a half to see Goldie as many days as I can.
To see Goldie? Am I missing something?
Is my granddaughter, who lives only 10 miles away in Los Feliz, but it takes an hour and a half to get to her.
I've experienced that here.
Yes. So that makes my whole day.
That's so sweet.
So now Goldie is a new ingredient in there. The more I can see her, the happier I am.
Yeah.
I talk to each child at least twice a day, and one can be a text, because that's all I ask them to do. 2 dogs, my husband, a household, the business. You know, there's a lot going on. And 2 sisters who are very demanding, and we talk 3 times a day.
Wow.
But I wouldn't know how to do it any other way, because when I do have a Saturday off and I have goals, I want to knit, I want to read a book, I want to go shopping, I want to go to lunch.
Yeah.
Tonight I'm going to dinner with my 3 good friends. We do these birthday dinners.
Yeah.
My heart's beating. I'm so excited.
Aw.
You know, it's good to step out of the business and talk to people who are not in the business. But of course, now one of my good friend's daughter's getting married, so we'll talk about that all night. I know. But I have really good friends. I always say I have 5 friends.
Yeah.
Because that's all I have time for.
Yeah.
So I put all my energy into those 5 friends, and then you have peripheral friends that still love you and understand you and, you know, are there. And my family. Sunday night is family dinner, and I live for that. I live for it at the end. And if one of my kids can't make it, I'm literally depressed. So Sunday, flea market day. I go to flea markets. I love my bed. And all my children's friends know where they're going to find me, and they come and they sit on the bed, and
You hold court and...
I hold. They call it the position.
That's great.
And that's where I am. And there's no one expects anything from me except exactly what I've been doing all these years. And I will tell you, for all you mothers and fathers out there, that I have 3 children and I have missed memories. I have missed important things. I, regret it. And yet, when you ask my children, are they angry with me for missing it? Are they disappointed when they think about things that I could have done better? And they say to me, we don't know from anything else. This is how it's always been. You haven't just changed. This is who you are.
Yeah.
But they all say I've given them this amazing life. And half of them not having to worry, I've enabled all of them. And that's part of the guilt, probably.
Enabled in what sense?
If they're in trouble, I will rescue.
I see. Yeah.
I will help them buy their first homes. I can't even tell you the enjoyment I get out of throwing Goldie's birthday parties or helping them. My son opened a bar.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I so did not want to invest in this bar with all my being. But what else do you do if it's not for your children? Ended up being a very successful bar. Who knew?
There you go.
Who knew? So I see things of me and my children. I see, I have all 3 children are workaholics. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Well, so they're not entitled then.
No. They all,
Isn't that ironic?
I have a 19-year-old at NYU. He has started a company where he's managing like young musicians. He's in school and models. And he called this morning and said, can one of the models, he has a shoot, can he stay at our house? I said, of course. This is our, and let me tell you, when I'm with one of my children, they always have their arm around me.
Oh,
wow. We go shopping, we hold hands.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it, but the expectation of them calling twice a day is very high. Sometimes I get the 1 call, but I get a call every day. And that's all I've ever asked from them, besides being really good people.
Yeah. But, I want to add to this, too. I've said this a lot before, that I feel that, maybe there's some cost to some of this, but at the same time, we're role modeling for our kids.
Yes.
And I think, when you talk about your son who's at NYU and has started this business, I mean, of course, because he grew up with you modeling that. So I say that it's also, and also especially with what's going on now and everything with women, and I have a daughter, and I've talked to her a lot before and that's funny, she's in NYU too right now in grad school, but I've talked to her through the years about empowerment and how, not to grow up thinking with anything having to depend on a man or anything like that. And so I think that's really important that your boys and your girls, is it all boys, did you say?
All boys,
yeah,
but I have my daughter-in-law.
Yeah, but still, but the boys even seeing, what you're modeling here. I think it's wonderful. Yes. So, looking forward here before we wrap up, what do you see yourself doing for the next 5 years, maybe 10, but let's say 5?
Okay. And I've thought about this a lot, actually, even though I didn't know you were going to ask me that, because the next 5 years will really crown my business. I do feel a little bit of the pressure of these new young event planners coming up, hipsters, new cool ideas, competition, people who've worked for me that have now left to go start their own businesses. And, I feel a little like, okay, I got to up my game. And you know what? I'm buying magazines, looking at new things, thinking, stay in the game. Yeah. And I'm going to stay in the game. No matter what age, no matter any philosophy where people say, oh, you're getting too old for this business, I feel I'm still young for this business. And what I have going for me is experience. And that the younger people coming in do not have.
They sure don't.
They don't have. They have a different work ethic. There's lacking this kindness. Now, when I show up on a job, I hug every person hanging the fabric, every florist working for me, all the waiters know me, and that energy of being kind. Everybody wants to do a good job for you.
I love that. I think that's a great idea.
And it's such good energy in the room, and that spreads to the amazing party. And welcome every musician that comes. Thank you for being on time. Thank you for coming. I'm excited. And the new group coming in, the new millennials or stuff, with their entitlement issues and everything, there lacks kindness. Thank you for doing a good job for me today. Because all these people make me look good. I get to be the bearer of the success of their work.
Yeah, sure.
And I will never forget that, ever. That, to me, says all. So in the next 5 years, I'm just going to become bigger, and I hope to become bigger, and I also hope to become the voice to help all these other people who are coming up into my place.
In a mentorship way?
Yes, I hope to become a voice where hopefully they're going to listen. How sometimes, I don't want to say old-fashioned, or the way this business is very unique.
Yeah.
Very unique, and I believe the new people coming in have really good taste, but it's not just about the taste.
Yeah, right.
It's about the experience and about the feeling that you're leaving when you walk out that door after you're done your job. And repeat business for me is what has kept me successful and in business.
Right.
I have done people's birth announcements up to their weddings, up to their kids' birthday parties.
Jeez.
These people come back.
We're talking about creating legacy clients.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Legacy clients. So I'm hoping in 5 years, everyone knows my name and that I've left a mark on somehow people's lives. And
well, I think, Mindy, you already have, and the idea of continuing to do so. I mean, I'm ecstatic that you're sticking around because you do not look the age that you mentioned. Not at all.
I hope not. Working at that. Oh, and I do fit some facials in there into that schedule.
Well, of course.
Yes.
Well, this has been such a pleasure. Tell me, what are the best ways now for people to find out, to look you up and get even more information than all the stuff that's out there?
Well, MindyWeiss.com.
Right. Okay.
I actually have a new website going up next week.
Do you?
It looks a lot like mine now, but it's updated with new pictures and a little cleaner.
Yeah.
Not so fussy.
Yeah.
And my Instagram is the best way to follow my life. Is Mindy Weiss, at Mindy Weiss.
Okay, got it.
I actually have a new fun Instagram that I made very close friends with Russell Westbrook, who's a basketball player, and his wife. And we started a fashion Instagram for fun because we both love fashion. And I came up with this idea and she loved it. She's one of the few that we've remained in love and friends. It's called Under 30 Over 50. And it's fashion when you're under 30.
Yeah.
And it's how to dress when you're over 50.
Oh, that's great.
So it's a fun little Instagram to follow in my spare time.
Is that the numerics or spell it out?
It's under 30 over 50.
Got it.
And that's fun. And my books continue. I'm writing a flower girl book right now.
A flower girl?
Yeah, how to be a flower girl in a wedding. Great. So I'm writing that right now.
Okay.
And I hope to... Actually, the jewelry line you mentioned didn't work out. It didn't work out, and these things that don't work out, I've learned from them. I've learned, for the next product that I might be representing, I'm continually learning.
Yeah.
You think you know it all, and every day I learn something new.
Yeah, well, and I think public, people just assume it's
all there. No.
Anything,
Nope, that one didn't work out, but a lot of great things. I have a bridesmaid dress with Vow to Be Chic called the Mindy.
Great.
I have a line of what I call ballet shoes, dancing shoes, called Rollisol.
Okay.
The Mindy. My name is being on things, and it just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of nice little things coming. I call them branches on my tree, and hopefully those branches last.
I love it. We'll also have all of this in the show notes at the website of theweddingbiz.com.
Great.
So we'll keep up with you and keep it current.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mindy. You're so open. And I really
Andy.
thank you for sharing like this.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, what an incredible conversation. I hope you enjoyed listening to that as much as I enjoyed recording it. And don't forget our follow-on segment, The Next Level, in which my co-host and I further discuss some of the highlights to raise your business to the next level. And also be sure to check out the archive. There is over a year's worth of amazing conversations with all kinds of icons and people who I consider to be the next generation. So please check out the archive. And if you've enjoyed today's interview, please give us a top review wherever you get your podcasts and help us to build our community by sharing this episode of Mindy Weiss and the whole show with your friends and colleagues. You can also follow us on Instagram at Wedding Biz Show. Again, that's Wedding Biz Show. You can check out our incredible website, theweddingbiz.com. And once again, please review the show, share it with everyone you know in this wonderful industry. This is another episode of The Wedding Biz.